Hello designers and welcome back to another Fusion 360 explained by Akir course. In today's video we will take a look at all the sketch features there are. So let's get right into it. So I think by now everyone should know how to enter sketch mode. But in case you forgot, just head to create and click on create sketch or go directly here. Perfect. Now we have to choose a plane. In this case, I will choose this one, but you can do whatever you want to. This video may need a part 2 as there are a lot of things here. In today's video, I will take a look at the Create tab and the Modify tab. Then in part 2, we'll look at the constraints and how to insert a canvas. To begin with, we will take a look at the Create tab. First, we have the Line tool. This one is pretty straightforward. Just click a certain point in the plane and drag it out as much as you like. Pretty easy, right? We can give the line any dimension we want to by using the Sketch Dimension tool. These ones work with anything you want in the sketch. A circle, a square, a polygon, anything. Just choose the tool, select the thing you want the dimension of, drag it out and write whatever you want to. For example, 100 millimeters. Just like that, now our line has 100 millimeters of length. Let's continue with the rest of the tools. Then we have the rectangle option. There are 3 types of rectangle. The 2-point rectangle, where you choose one point, drag it out and choose another point. The 3-point rectangle, where you will need to choose 3 points. This one, and this one, for example. And the center rectangle, where you will choose just one point and drag it out. All of these have the same effect. However, sometimes it's easier to use one than the other depending on the situation we have. The next tool is the circle. Again, there are a lot of circles. In today's video, we'll just take a look at the center diameter circle, as this one is the only one you will need to use. Just click a point and drag the circle out. You can set the diameter, for example 50. Just like that, we have made our first circle. Let's clear off the space to continue working. Oops, I forgot this one. The next tool we have is the arc tool. Again, there are 3 types of arcs. Firstly, we have the 3-point arc, where you choose the start of the arc, the end of the arc, and drag it out as much as you like to. Then, we also have the center point arc. This is the easiest one. You just choose one line, then another, and drag it out. You can basically even make a circle with this one. Then we also have the tangent arc. You won't really need to use this one, so for now just ignore it and we'll continue off with the polygons. We have 3 types of polygon. Firstly, circumcised polygon. This one has a circle inside of it that touches every edge at one point. You choose the radius of it to define the length, and you can also change how many edges it has by going here and changing the number. For example, 8. Now the polygon has 8 edges. Let's also define the radius of the circle and click it. Just like that, we have made our first polygon. Then we also have the inscribed polygon. This one, instead of having the circle inside of it, has it outside of it. Again, you can also change the number here of edges, and you choose a radius. Finishing off with polygons, we have the edge polygon, where you just define one edge by doing a line, for example this one, and then choose the amount of edges you want to, for example 10. Now we have a huge polygon where each side is exactly the same as the one we drew before. Now let's continue with the ellipse. This tool isn't really helpful most of the times, but you might need to use it from time to time. It's really straightforward. You first draw a line and then drag it out. This will create the ellipse. Now again, I will clear out the space. Okay, let's continue on with the slot option. The slot creates this sort of weird shape. So let's see what types of slots there are and how to use them. Firstly, we have the center to center slot, the most forward of them all. You just choose one point, then the other, drag it out, and the points you choose will be the beginning of the arc the slot has. Then we also have the overall slot. In this one, again, you choose 2 points, but this time these are the final part of the slot, basically the peak of the curve. Drag it out, but there's a point where you can't drag it out no more because you're making a circle now. Good. Now let's continue with the next slot, the center points slot. In this one, you choose 2 points again, but this will be sort of a radius of the slot. See? You basically choose half of the slot and the other one is automatically completed. Then we have the 3-point arc slot. This one is to create an arc slot where it curves itself. So we choose 3 points, drag it out, and then drag it out again to finish off. As you guys may have seen, now the slot is making kind of a circle. Lastly, we have the center point arc slot. In this one you choose 1 point, then another point, and start dragging it out as much as you like. Let's say, I don't know, 180 degrees. Basically half a whole circle. Click it and then start dragging. You will see we have now made a slot that goes half the circle like we said before. Click enter and your slot has been finished. That's all for the slot part. Now let's continue with the spline. I recommend using only the fit point spline. What it does, it basically creates a line that is curved. For example, this one. Once you have done the line, click on the tick button and the line will be finished. However, now you're seeing that it is a straight line. You can change that by pulling the green points that we find here. Play around a little bit just to see how it works. You can also create lots of spline together, creating weird shapes. Like this one. The next one is the conic curve. This just basically creates a curve. For example, this one. you basically choose 2 points and then you can start making the curve. Then we have the point, just ignore it for now, and following up we have the text. We have already used this one when creating the keychain last episode, but I will explain it again. Basically, you create the square where your text will be placed, and there are lots of things to choose now. Firstly, the text you want to write, you write it on the sample text part. For example, I don't know, hello. Then you can also choose the font. However, I do not recommend using very complicated fonts as they won't print correctly. Just use Arial for now. Then you can use bold and italics. The height will define how big the letter is. For example, 20, as you can see, the letter there has changed size. Then the space between each letter, 5 for example. You can also flip the letters. This can be really useful when creating a stamp, for example. And choose the alignment. Align center, to the right, to the left, whatever you want to. That's all for the text. Let's clear up the space now so that we can continue. Next up is the mirror option. Firstly, we'll need to create a shape to use it. I don't know, let's make a square. Then we will make the axis, which we will see what it is later. Whenever you make lines that you don't want to be in the final 3D model, press the letter X. This way, your lines will be indication marks, which basically are just lines that you use to indicate something. As you can see, it isn't a full line. It has like little dots. Now let's go on with the mirror part. When you choose the mirror tool, you will see this square pop up. It asks you for two things. The object, which in this case will be the square, and the mirror line, which is the line we just made. Basically, once you choose these two things, a mirror will be created, where the space here and here is the same, and the length of this square and this one are the same. Click OK, and now we have a mirror. If we change things in any of both squares, for example the length of this line, it will change in both parts. See? Now, continuing down, we have the patterns. These are really useful. But first, let's clear up the space again. To use a pattern, first you need a shape. For example, a circle right here. Then we can choose the circular pattern option or the rectangle pattern. We'll see the difference right now. Again, a square will pop up asking you the object, which in this case is the circle, and the center point, which in this case is the center of the plane. As you guys may have seen, a pattern is now created. This works pretty similar to the mirror. We can also choose how many circles we want to. I know, for example, 7. Now a pattern of 7 circles is created. As you guys can see, it goes through a straight circle that meets all the points of the circles. This is why it is called circular pattern and not square pattern. Now, if we want to create a square pattern, again we'll need another shape. Now choose the rectangle pattern option and select the object and the direction. In this case, I don't know, this direction. As you guys may have seen now, a line is created where each space between each circle is the same, and they go in a straight line. You can change how many circles you want to, for example 6, and the pattern is created. You can also go up if you want to, and as you guys may have seen, everything we've done here is now repeated while going up. That's all for the patterns. Now following up is the project tool. Unfortunately, in this video I will not show it as it needs for a 3D model. However, it will be showed later in the course. Now let's start with the Modify tab. First we will make some shapes in order to actually use it, and to modify something you need to have something first. So let's make a rectangle, a circle, and why not a triangle. So let's start with the first one, the fillet option. Now we already seen this one before. It basically creates a smooth edge. You can give it the number you want to, for example 20, and it's really big, but in this case I will just use 10. Now a similar tool to the fillet is also the chamfer, which there are 3 types of. First we have the equal distance chamfer. Just choose a edge, click it, and drag it as much as you like. I don't know, for example 15. Then we also have the distance and angle chamfer. This is basically a normal chamfer, but this time you can add an angle to it, as you guys can see. And finally, we also have the 2 distance chamfer, which basically is sort of an irregular chamfer. As you can choose, I don't know, 10 in one side, well in this case it's impossible, 3 in one side, and in this side 20. As you guys can see, this time we have 20 in this side of the chamfer and only 3 in this other. Next up we have the trim options. What it basically does is that it cuts a certain part of a sketch. For example, let's say we want to cut this chamfer. We can just cut it and it disappears. It's really useful, especially when cutting circles, where you can basically cut any part of the circle that you want to by just using some referencing guides and using the cut tool. As you guys can see, then if we eliminate again these lines, we now have a circle with a gap in it. Next up is the extend, that really you don't need it, so just ignore it for now, and the same happens with the break. However, the sketch scale, you may use it sometimes. It basically grabs a geometry, in this case this one, and you choose a point in which you will scale it up and down. So basically you can make anything you want bigger or smaller. The farther away from the point you choose, the bigger it will be, and the closest to the point you choose, the smaller it makes it. Then we also have the offset tool. Basically, well, it's easier for you just to see it. Click it, then choose the sketch curves you want to offset, and it creates a line that goes the same way as the one you use, but with an offset of whatever you want to. For example, 5. You can go inside the object or outside the object. This is really useful when creating, I don't know, rings, pipes, or whatever you want to. Then we have the move/copy tool. Basically just moves whatever you want to. Just select it and you can move it, change the angle in which it is, and yeah, that's all. Finally, we have the change parameters. However, this will be explained later in the course, and it's easier to use it in the 3-dimensional plane. And when you look at that, we have now finished the first part of the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I hope I will see you in the next part. Goodbye, designers!